Hi, guys. Let's go to Liberty County School Board, special workshop Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, on the board.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Chair. This is kind of a follow-up from our Monday meeting last week. Thank y'all for coming to that. I want to thank Stacy. I invited her. Obviously, everybody can come to this. So she had some questions. I answered those. There was some ambiguity on how much y'all had been involved. She thought that Monday was, and I wrote on there that Monday was a follow-up meeting to our first meeting with Fleet, but that I told her to know. Board hadn't met with Fleet. I said me and Nathan and Jeff and Katie and them had met, but that this was actually the first time y'all had been introduced to Fleet and had the presentation. So I've got some information. I want y'all to hear it. And I've got a lot of information, in fact. So I've given you a handout there. I love handouts. The teacher in me wants to give you some handouts. The first thing you're going to see is something that is on our website. It's part of our human resources thing that Jeff has put together. It has our planned contributions. This is very familiar with, should be familiar with you. These are the rates that we approved. It kind of tells you what we're doing now. Now, you can kind of hang on to that for now because I have this on another sheet. If you would pull the next one, some of that's going to be on here, and I've kind of we got it broke down where you can see both. Let's just start at the top. I want to make sure that y'all know exactly what our background with Fleet is, because I think honestly, I think it's a wonderful opportunity on the surface. I've dug really hard into this, and I'm gonna give you my opinion, and I want y'all to talk to. This is one of those things that could be controversial. It could be a split vote. I think it's very important for us to be unanimous. If there's anything that we need to be unanimous on, I hope it's this, because it changes the very structure of going from a fully insured program to a self-insured program. I want to give y'all some dates here. I went back and pulled some dates here. When we started talking about this before, I know one of the issues came up Monday a week ago was, well, I wish we had more time and all this kind of stuff, and me too. But I want to tell you what my involvement's been in this. June of 2025, Ted Rouse was named the director of the new Fleet. Okay, so Fleet's been around, but it hadn't been called that. If you remember the guy that was here, Dave Stevens, it was under FSBIT, which was Florida School Board Insurance Trust. So Ted was the superintendent at Suwannee County, and as soon as he retired from Suwannee County in November of 2024, he became the chancellor at DOE for education. And so he served in that role for about 6 months. So in June of 2025, after his 6-month tenure at DOE, and I'll go and tell you, it was not a fit. Well, I felt sorry for Ted, but he didn't drink the DOE Kool-Aid, and it was hard for him to answer. He wanted to answer questions and could. He'd say, y'all, I don't know, I'd get back to you. Finally, he just had enough of that. 6 months was about all he lasted. He has told some of y'all that. So June of 2025, around that time, I get introduced that now Ted, and I'm at a conference, at a FADS school board conference. That Ted's now heading up Fleet. So he gets up there, Senator Montford allows him to get up there and share what this new Fleet program I've never heard of. So that was my first introduction to Fleet, was June of 2025. I'm at the June board meeting. I informed y'all of my interest in Fleet of wanting to know what it is. At that point, y'all had said, I said I want to set up a meeting with them, and y'all were all kind of unanimous, so we didn't take a vote on it. But basically, why don't you represent the board at that meeting? So on July the 8th, at our July the 8th board meeting of and this is all 2025, obviously, I informed the school board about a meeting that would come up on July the 16th. Now, there was no push to do it for October 2025. It was always going to be October 2026 if we were going to go down this road. There was never no way to do it that quick. I didn't even know what it was. So we're still getting introduced to it. And obviously, my first meeting, Mason was there, Jeff was there, Katie was there, Daryl Jr. came over from Calvin County. That was in July, and we have open enrollment in August. So there was never any intention of making a recommendation to y'all to change for October 2026. At the earliest, if we did change, it would have to be October 2027. October 2026. We couldn't make it 2025, sorry. When we met on July the 16th, we were informed that companies will not write policies at this time with CHP districts. So that's Liberty, Walkulla, Legon, Gadsden. So as good as Fleet was, if we said, Ted, we're ready to sign up today, can't do it. Nobody will write a policy for you. So it's like, well, darn. Mason loved it. We all, if I'm okay to speak for you, I think we were like, wow, this sounds really good because you're cutting out the middleman. We've got an opportunity here to maybe have some savings. We have those good years. That money goes to our account. So that was on July the 16th. On October 7th, I checked in with him. Hey, is any movement? No movement. We're still working on it. October 13th, and this is all 2025, Ted requested CHP membership data. So I put him in touch with Katie and started giving him how many people we had in our group. Because he's working these groups. He's trying to get them to write. Checked in on October the 20th with him. No new information. December the 8th and the 9th, he and I texted back and forth, hey, have you got any movement? I want to let the board know. And then February 10th came. February 10th, I said, Ted, how's it looking? Good news. They're going to now write policies in the CHP districts. So that's how we got to where we are now. So I went ahead and said, y'all, we want to do a workshop. We did that on March the 2nd, which was last Monday. And then we're doing another one tonight. If they would have written policies back, and we'd have known that back in July of 2025, I am quite confident that if the board and the union, we all got on the same page and we wanted to go that route, we would have been ready to do October 2026. No doubt. You'd have had from July to go ahead, probably August, have them come in, pay the $10,000, get them to start running numbers. You'd have had 6 months of runway. And then you'd have gotten to January and you'd have pretty much known that come August, you're doing open enrollment. You're going to go ahead and switch over. Lots of runway, lots of time. We don't have it now. If we were to try to do an October 2026 open. And that's where we're coming down to. I've written down some things that y'all have shared with me. I won't attribute these to any names, but drinking from a fire hose, I 150% agree with that because I think there's a lot to digest. We don't have data. It would be wonderful. It would be absolutely wonderful if I was able to say, or Ted or me or whoever, Ted primarily, to say, look, here's what we've done in Suwannee County, here's what we've done in all these counties that he has recently done. It's so new that we just don't have data. We can't say, what I would love is for a superintendent or a school board member to tell y'all, Miss Jody, we did this in Suwannee County, and I know some of y'all reached out to other counties, and that's perfect. That's what y'all do in your role of being an advocate. We don't have the data yet. We don't know. It would be great if they were able to say, we did this 2 years ago, and we've already seen rates stabilize. In fact, we're saving some money. Board's able to contribute some more because they've had some wins. You see what I'm saying? They've been able to put some money away because our claims were less than our premiums.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, yeah.
So of these counties, that they said of 44,000 school district employees,
Right.
can he tell us who is live besides these three? Well, I just picked out one. I called.
Right.
I called one down. And they were live. So
They were
I know
with
this
Fizbit.
is not. Huh?
They were with Fizbit before,
Yeah.
and they tried, all the rest of them are just now getting in.
That's what I'm saying. We just, like you said, there's not even a way to say, like you said, are we going to get are we going to get 7% cost savings? Are we going to get 10? Or are we going to get 12? I would love to know out of these counties, by Ted, if he could just tell us who's actually live.
Yep, no.
Okay. None of these are the three.
The three are. The three. There's three.
And that's where
but
they're
they've been
getting
with Fizbit.
the 12% savings. Is that where they're getting? Because they didn't.
Well, I think those are anticipated savings as the group deal. What I'm saying is those who have signed on since June of 2025, and they have, he's been signing them up. None of them have data to be able to say, okay, so we did this for last year and we had X amount of savings. We don't have that data.
Yeah.
Okay. I would feel better. I'd feel a lot more confident if somebody said, hey, we did this. This was the greatest thing ever. We were doing this and we got this kind of percent savings. They can project, but right now we don't have any data to say absolute sure. We can guesstimate, because if you got away from CHP and you know that you're paying that 7% administrative fee, that's part of what they feel like they save you, because you don't have the middleman anymore.
But CHP is definitely not going to play in the sandbox. They're not interested in this right now. That's what they said.
Correct. Yeah, they're not going to do anything to fleet.
Stacy, I wanted you to hear that.
Yeah, they're not interested in anything to fleet. So those are some things that bothers me, not having that data to be able to say, y'all, but because it's such a fundamental change to what we're doing and how we're doing business and how we're collecting. We've got something. Let me go back here. Let's just talk about this just for a minute. I'm gonna get down to some rates, and I'm gonna make a real comparison that'll be very eye-opening for you. Fleet exists to provide collaborative health insurance. We know all that, and I won't be redundant. Y'all can read. These are the companies now that are willing to write policies for us here in Liberty County in these CHP districts. Florida Blue, which is old Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna. We've had Aetna before. Some people loved them, some people hated them. I had Aetna. I didn't have a problem with them, but that was my part. United Healthcare is what we had way back when, Doobie, when I got on board with Mr. Harold Humphrey. It was United Healthcare. Those things were double-digit increases every year. Cigna, can't tell you. I mean, I'm familiar with Cigna, but we've never had them here. But we have had Aetna and United Healthcare, on the board since my 30 years. So this is what the fleet participation costs. Ted mentioned this, the $10,000 one-time setup. You pay that. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to go ahead and switch over, but it starts that process of them getting you in the system. You have to have board approval, obviously, and before we can do all of that. And then there's going to be a monthly fee of $22.25. You mentioned that. I don't know if y'all remember, but that's going to run about a couple grand a month for 88 employees.
Let me interrupt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That would only come into effect after we went out.
Correct. Only after correct. You'd have to sign the agreement. We've actually jumped ship. Yeah.
So what about the retirees? Were there more retirees still be that number?
Yes.
That $22.25.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How many retirees do we have?
It's on the next page.
Oh.
Can I get to that just a second?
I'm sorry.
No. We got all that wrote down for you. Capital health plan, what we got now, we have a principal choice plan, which, and I've got this broken down, how many's on that? That's your plan that's going to cost you more per month. Okay, and then you got the value plan. Value plan is going to have a deductible. Now, the principal choice plan does not have a deductible. This is real key, because I'm fixing to make some comparisons. This is some new stuff that I've kind of learned how this thing works. Principal choice plan has no deductible with CHP. That's why people like $50 copay, no deductible. Okay, the value plan, you're going to pay a lot less, and I've got those numbers on the next page, but you're going to have a deductible. Okay, so people can decide, hey, I'm healthier, I'm okay, I don't want to pay much every month, I don't ever go to the doctor, I'm okay with the deductible. Okay, when you get old like me, and some of y'all in this room, the other might be more lucrative. This is okay. Page 2. This is where this is the stuff that it had last Monday. They have an 8.4% increase for the 24-25 year. The board picked up $25 of that per month. The employee got $38.50 a month. That was for the 24-25 year to make up for that increase. Last year we had a 7.4% increase. We picked up $45 of that. The employee picked up $15.63. Okay, it was a little lower. This next one is the one that was out, and I didn't get this information until today. We were able to get this from Hub. For 23-24, we were at 108%. What does that mean? That means our premiums were, let's just call it $1 million. Okay, we were 108%, 8% over that on claims, which means they paid out more than we took in. So in a self,
Kind of been self-insured.
well, if you'd have been self-insured in that, and you're saving the 7%, you would have made money. You follow me? Because that their administrative fees in that. That would have been a year you'd have made a little money. You see what I'm saying? Or it would have been a wash because it's 8%. You'd have been right at and break even. You might have made a little, you might have broke even. Okay. Last year, 145%. That made me stop. What that means, when your stop loss coverage exceeds 100%, it means that your high cost claims surpass the expected stop loss threshold. So, which means you would have to have the reinsurance or the stop loss insurance in there. You don't have it anyway, but you'd have paid out more than you took in.
So how did we get this? Where did this percentage come from?
From CHP. They got
CHP said that basically that they paid 45% above what we were insured at.
Correct.
The cost was 40, and now that's calculating in their administrative fees,
Yes.
their pharmaceutical benefits, the rebates, but they're not calculating in the refunds. So my question is, there's a difference between billed and paid. Right? So insurance they'll receive a bill amount for $1,000, but they'll pay $350. Right? So the question is, even looking at this, if we don't get a lot of data, it can be, and I don't know, I'll caveat, but I don't know, but it could be, this is what was billed, not paid, that there might have been 50% difference in billed versus paid.
They told me this was what was paid. Now, this was actually payout. Now, CHP are they're very hush hush about everything. That's about all you're gonna get from me. I told them, I said, I wanted to know what we paid versus what we paid, what was, and premiums that actually were charged and what you paid out.
Is that pharmacy too, or is it only on the medical? They specify.
Good question. No mind.
Because the pharmacy is a big difference too, and the rebates that come on pharmaceuticals that comes in that they collect as well as different. There's a lot of gaps.
Could be in there. I try to get clarity if they'll tell me.
Yeah,
They like to pull a teeth. Now, so we got to jump from 108 to 145. Now, if you'll look down, this has the numbers from that first page on there. And Jody, you were asking the numbers. So we got 13 retirees on the principal choice plan. They're older, obviously that's a better plan for them. We got actually the lion's share of the employees, 77 in there, and then you got 24 on the value plan. A lot of them are employee onlys. Their employee only cost is $149 a month. Okay, we pay $546.39. When I first became superintendent, some of y'all got on the board. It was $363.39. $386.39. That is exactly $386.39. Thank you. Recall that.
I remember that.
That was good. It was $386.39. It was $386.39 for years. Couple things that needed to do that. We have to meet the ACA requirement of Obamacare. So we had to raise that up, and we've been trying to make sure as much as we can to not. There's been many years that the employees had to fund the increase in premium. And we've tried to manage our money to the point where we can make sure that that's not such a burden for them. So these are the numbers here. We have 4 plans: employee only, employee spouse, employee child, and then family. So you see the price on that. I do the family. I'm the one on family. So it's very, very expensive. But I make more money than people as superintendent, so I can afford that. And I got a bunch of young. So anyway, but they're slowly, surely getting married and moving on. So thanks, Lord, we're gonna get a raise real soon.
Well, $2,985.
Margaret married, she's still on my.
Well, they stayed on to the third 26 and all that.
No,
And it's
they
now
stayed
30. It's now 30, yeah. So
She stay on. till
don't
she-
say that too loud, just true. Thank you. All right. We're gonna cut the cord.
Sorry.
No. Okay, so our 25, 26. I don't wanna keep y'all longer. Our annual CHP costs, 1.2 million premiums. That's what the cost is. Now, I want you to hold this in one hand and I want you to look at Calhoun County. Let's talk about Calhoun County. They have a self-insured plan. I have spent the lion's share of this afternoon. I've talked with Walton County. They are also on the PAC plan. Jackson County and Washington. There's 4 counties on that. I think, Jody, you asked me when we talked, what about PAC? Have we kind of gone back down that road? At one time, there might have been some others, but slowly but surely they pulled it off. Walton isn't, I looked at theirs, I talked to Stephanie, I found they're in a whole different category of what they pay. It's their start teacher salary is 52 plus or something like
What's
that.
that contribution?
It's like $1,200.
We got,
It's a massive.
we don't have.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you can't compare us to them.
That's what I'm saying. So we need to compare it to like Calhoun, okay? So Calhoun, Washington, some that are more like us, you know? So here's what I want to do. You look at the Calhoun. I want you to look at what they're paying. Anybody got a question?
No,
Okay.
I was showing that contribution, what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So look at Calhoun. Now they don't have the 4 plans. They basically got 3 deductible plans. They're all deductible driven. And again, they're self-insured. So anytime they have a good year, they put that in the bank, which is what Fleet is advertising. They have a $500 deductible, which is their very low deductible. Low deductible, you're gonna pay more each month. And then you go down to the $2,000 deductible, which is a real high deductible, which is very similar to our value plan. Our value plan is a $2,500 deductible. If you look at that, let's go to the $500 deductible. An employee by themselves pays $710. Okay, ours pays $333. Okay, if they have one dependent, this could be the employee and one dependent. It's $1,762. If we do that, like an employee and spouse, it's about $1,200. Employee and child is $949 for us. That would also fall under the $1,762 for them. Their family plan is $2,377, and then our family plan is $2,093. So you start seeing that, you know, we're in pretty good shape compared to Calhoun County. Okay, their monthly employer contribution is $448.59. Now, if you come to the $1,000 deductible plan, you start seeing something that mirrors ours a little bit. However, you still got a $1,000 deductible. CHP with the principal choice plan does not have a deductible. So here's what I found, and I shared this a little bit with y'all on the surveys. People like CHP insurance. They like it, and
I love it.
I love it too. I like it too. They have their doctors. They love the $15 copays. They love not having deductibles. But so about 70-80%, I think 85% of the people on the survey said we like CHP. But if there's a cheaper option, I'm okay with that. But it will affect if you went to something like this. Now you immediately have a deductible. Now this is for Calhoun. We don't have a quote for us. I'm not optimistic enough to take a chance at this point, so I'm gonna wrap this thing up. I'm not comfortable with the time frames we're on. I don't feel comfortable making a recommendation to the board that this is the direction we're gonna go without the unknowns. My suggestion to y'all would be, let's wait, let's get some data from some of these other districts that are doing it. And let's see what kind of savings they're seeing. and try to use fleet as I don't think it'll work, but at least try to, use it as a little bit of leverage for CHP that, hey, we're looking at other options. Can you help a brother out? And that is simple, person-to-person negotiation.
As a professional, does Mr. Roush have any input on? Is this gonna be doable for 26, or are we rushing it to do it by 26?
Okay, so I'm gonna be real transparent. As soon as we got through with our workshop on Monday, he made a beeline to me and he said October 2027. He thinks we're probably not unified enough to do that. He's coming from a superintendent side. We need time to talk with the union. This affects them by contract. We have those conversations with them through an insurance committee. I can tell you with all the things that we got going on from here to August, it's not a lot of time. One of the things that Lisa and all the folks and Katie's being a mom tonight, she said, I need to be there. I want you to have a championship game and all that stuff down there for her young, and then I get it. That's where she needs to be. So I appreciate Lisa, our assistant finance director, being here, and I really appreciate that. We are converting, Skyward has a new product called Cumulative. We will be the first district in PAC to change. Gulf was going to do it first. They had too much going on and could not do it this last year. We agreed well over a year ago to start. Everybody's going to go through it eventually. We decided, they asked us, could we go first? They asked Katie, can y'all do it first? Y'all the smallest district. It would be easier. What that will involve is right now, as she starts building budgets come summertime, and even before then, we'll do dual payrolls, one at Skyward and then a kind of a dummy one in Cumulative. So we'll be running a couple things, a mock one or whatever you want to call it, a duplicate as we transition to that system. There is little bit of a learning curve. Now, we went from the old Gateway system to Skyward. That won't mean a lot to y'all, except some of the older people all remember Gateway. They had dot matrix printers and all that kind of stuff. When they made that conversion, it was mind blowing. But this is a web-based program that they'll be using. Again, it's a Skyward product, so there'll be a lot of similarities. Easier to pull reports, and it may even be to the point where y'all can do it for yourselves and be able to do some of that stuff. A lot more user friendly. In the past, I remember back when Miss Judy Franklin was working. If I need a job at the high school as a guidance counselor, I'd say, Miss Judy, can you send me a class rank list? And it'd have to go through that to get it. This stuff will be a lot more user friendly. I'm not comfortable putting our staff through that kind of pressure. We got a lot of challenges coming into the new year. We got to figure out staffing. We got to figure out how many kids we're going to have. I've already shot some commercials. You're going to start seeing some commercials go out, doing some marketing stuff. And I'm excited about all that. We got a lot to do. I don't, again, I want y'all to hear my heart. Doing last year's schedule of having the conversation in July of 25 would have given us well over a year to decide. Don't know that we'd have had any data. That's the thing that bothers me. We don't have any. And so I'm not so sure that our folks are going to get better insurance. Now that's just my initial opinion. Looking at Calhoun, Calhoun's not fleet. They are self-funded, but the insurance costs what the insurance costs.
But we don't have any data.
We don't.
I think listening to him the other night, it's gonna be better, but we can't be thinking, we got to be.
Here's why we think it's going to be better. We hope it's going to be better. We can't use an example.
I don't think he's trying to talk us into doing anything.
He's not.
He's not an insurance salesman, but we got to know, and I would like to ask Ms. Stacy as representative of the teachers union. Are y'all interested in doing something we're not sure about? I mean, I know we want to save y'all money. That's the ultimate goal here, but
right.
we don't want to make a in doing it.
Yeah, no, like you said, they love CHP. We'd love to stay with CHP. But if there is a cheaper, because this is a huge financial burden.
Oh, absolutely.
On our
Just 6
teachers.
years ago.
Yes. I have to say, I don't know if y'all are aware, but there are teachers going uninsured because they cannot afford what we're on right now. They get the stuff through the health department or care.gov or whatever that is to cover their children. And then they, if they're military, they can get a little something, but most of them go uninsured because they can't afford the family plan. And that's unreasonable. I
That's
mean,
why we're here.
And let me.
that's unacceptable, to be honest, because no one should go without that care.
But you don't wanna see us step off the ledge.
No,
But
no, because,
we don't know.
no,
That's the problem.
right.
We
Is
want some
we're
data.
kind of, you know, and when I talked to Kyle, I said, do we have a time, maybe we can get a timeline, you know, kind of throw it out there to the board and say, look, this is the timeline. Because we're at a renewal point with CHP. CHP could potentially raise us by, who knows?
As they have in the past.
Yeah, it could be 10%.
Yeah,
So now we're in a,
yeah,
you know, and it was, you know, when we were in here talking the other night, it's like, I kept thinking in my head, I know you guys do 90 days for a termination for a contract. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I was like, time.
Right.
So then I talked to one of the counties on here, the CFO in that county, and she said, when are y'all talking about? And I said, October 2026. She said, oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
She said, let's slow down a minute.
Yeah.
She said, hold up. She said, because let me tell you something. She said, your CFO is supposed to get hammered.
mm-hmm.
She said, there is a big workload here. Whether you want it, you know, I said, well, we got less than 100 employees. You still got to do all this data.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, here comes spring break. Here comes, you know, we got all this other stuff going on. How in the world can all this happen? Plus the termination of contract or renegotiation of contract. You know, and it's a little like, do we jump off that ledge right now? But one thing she did tell me, if we sign the participation agreement tonight or whenever we decide to do it, we have control of our dates.
Yeah, I asked that
We
question.
do
another-
not
That's right.
have to,
It
we
doesn't
don't
have to be
know.
this year.
Absolutely.
No,
It doesn't have to
sir.
be next year.
No, sir. But I'm with Kyle. We don't have the numbers to even say, hey, guys, you know, in here, there's an anticipation.
Yeah, you still don't have the review.
No.
And we don't review the guinea pigs.
No,
I agree.
Well, what if
Y'all
you,
would be-
what if you
If
just
that
said
was just for me personally, I may do it, I may not.
Well, Jeff makes
It's
a, this,
representing a lot of people right here.
this is the part that scared me. Jeff just mentioned it. Thank you for doing that. Let's just hypothetically say, we're gonna do it. And so we go to these companies and I say, what was your claims data from last year? And we go, it's public record.
and I thought it is.
And so then,
Yeah, and
then they
literally
quote you on
told
that
me
and it's more than what we paid this year.
well,
We
and
have
if
to
you have
be-
consecutive years like that, you know, you're not safe.
Yeah.
You know, if your claims are more than your foot.
That scared me back.
And I'm gonna ask this question, because I like you said, we talked about, everything we do is public record.
Right.
How can CHP withhold data that is our data? It's public record. How is that under some sort of like hidden?
They absolutely, they do it like any other vendor.
But we got.
We can't ask Culpepper how much money they made on the school. That's
You
not
can
public
ask,
record.
you can ask.
You can ask them, but I'm saying that's not public record. They're not gonna break it down and
We can't
say,
ask them to break it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't ask for claims data.
we do ask for claims data, but they're not gonna give you, and so with that, I'll tell
That's
you
it.
what Aetna would do is they would actually take all of y'all and they'd say, because I saw it back 2008, they'd say Mason, and I'm totally making this up. Mason Kiever paid, just make a figure, $10,000, but he had $20,000 in claims. Jason Singletary paid $10,000, he had $2,000 in claims. They used to do, Aetna would do that.
That would be very good information.
Here's why CHP doesn't, community pricing. So they, but I can tell you, we were the cheapest last year. Wakulla was higher, everybody was higher except us. We had the lowest rate and we had the worst thing. So I hope you're gonna have those years.
But
Ed was you're gonna have those bad
very
years.
concerned. I'm very concerned. Negotiation, what you said, okay. We're a spec on their board, y'all, telling you. Their bread and butter is the state government, and they're looking at us going, you got how many employees on this?
That's why we pay so much. We're not. gonna
Well,
negotiate.
I don't know what negotiation power besides going in there begging. I mean, honestly, and just saying,
Which I do.
we
You don't
don't.
have any negotiation power with it.
Yeah.
So what is that gonna look like? I'm with you. You know I'm with you. I do not want to go right now. I think it's like jumping off out of the cliff up there, whatever it is. I don't want to do that. Okay, that scares me, especially when we don't have any data right now. We don't even have any comparisons right now.
Well,
And I haven't called these other counties.
Yeah,
I'll
like
be honest.
Jason, you were asking, what about the teachers? They're concerned because they have established doctors,
Yep.
they have medical conditions that they cannot they cannot stop right now. They're very concerned that they're not gonna have coverage and not gonna be able to pay.
That kind of information needs to be readily available before we step off that. ledge,
Yes,
too.
they need to know they can keep their doctors.
And we talked about it the other night, but they couldn't answer, they can't answer that really until they get in, until we pay to initiate it, get into it, and start doing some
And
research.
when we,
Which I don't understand that.
I don't,
We're
well,
paying for their administrative.
It's a membership fee.
And it's a one-time,
10,000.
So what if we don't join, if you decide to back out?
then we don't have.
Get our
money
back.
You got
Yeah, you can pay the
$10,000
ten,
to the
and you
10.
won't get it back.
It's not a fund,
But they won't pull anything until you pay the 10.
they won't do any work at all for us. We'll take $10,000.
Right.
So 0.1% the whole thing.
But they got a lot of employees.
Yeah.
And they have to go bid, look, it's not like we're gonna, I even talked to Kyle, I said, look here, can we piggyback off some of these counties?
Uh-huh.
Because, you know, I mean, we've got the authority and
Yeah.
statute. If we want to go to Leon County right now, and I don't know what they've got, but if they had CHP and we're just a spec, we ain't gonna hurt anything. If they would be willing, usually it's the same size, same scope. We're not the same size, definitely not the same scope.
No.
Okay, because we're small. But if we want to piggyback off one of these contracts instead of having to go bid this stuff,
Yeah.
because I got to bid it.
Well, that's what I don't understand. I've yet to understand. How can we be under the Florida retirement system?
Hey, this is the reason. They make money off of retirement.
Yes.
You put that in for your pension stuff, and they're not making money, they lose money off of it.
Well, and I was talking, because I asked somebody to speak
That's
about
fine.
it, and they said that we have too high risk because we are 90% female. I said, that's
It's not.
discrimination.
That's not the reason. They do it because the legislature supplements that.
Right.
They
They lose money off of it.
Yeah.
Was
To
it
do it for the state.
$22,000
Because they'll do retirement if they make money off interest.
Yeah.
They would have to pay, that was the figure, that if you figure what the state pays, it'd be about 22,000 per employee. That's how much they
We
subsidize.
wouldn't have lights on. We
I
wouldn't.
mean,
have-
right now, we pay 6,500 Lloyd, and over $500,000 a year just on the 707.
Right. Right.
So are we set on this fleet, or are there other entities?
So that's a great question. So the other one is the PAC, self-insured model.
That's the model.
That's what.
Walton is Walton.
Which is what county?
Is
Calhoun
Calvin
has it.
doing that?
But Calhoun, that's what I'm saying, Calhoun has it, and it's not. So what I'd like to do is pull Jackson and Washington. When I saw Calhoun, I was like, oh, Lord. I mean, that's more than what we're paying now.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have deductibles, and you're not gonna have your CHP doctor. So to me, that's a no-brainer. Again, going from our surveys, our people like CHP.
Oh, yeah.
They really like it. But if it was a cheaper option, hey, I think that's probably the heart of anybody in the room buying anything anytime. Hey, I like what I got, but is there a better option, cheaper option? But it still be, that was, and somebody wrote that in there. Is if it's apples and apples.
Yeah.
So if we got another something identical to CHP, and I have everything I got here, which everybody's common sense knows you ain't gonna get everything, but if you get most of that and have the satisfaction that you got now with your staff, hey, let's absolutely show me what it is. I don't have that to show you. I ain't
But
found it.
it's still not a one glove fit all here because you're younger. I'm an older. I'm one of the ones that I ain't paying all this. I got the damn insurance. The younger ones are gonna want something way cheaper, they'll sell you out. I mean, you got in there, they're gonna sell you out, so they're gonna take this, we
Yeah,
can do
they
this.
don't feel like they need it.
Well, you,
But as when they start getting up there, oh, cow, then they gotta start having.
But we do have 90% female who are having babies. You know, so that gets
The babies
expensive.
ain't what's killing them.
So question, and excuse my ignorance, but Katie gave me the dates, I believe, for CHP renewal.
October.
When will we do our negotiations with each?
They'll give us rates in July.
okay,
Probably
August first.
They wait right until the minute, and as soon as you get that, and the finance office
I
gets,
mean,
it's July.
this is a double-edged sword, I'm telling you right now, because somebody's gonna say, why didn't y'all go try to look for something better? 10%, if we get a 10% increase, we just don't. It literally, it could go great, or it could go right down.
I guarantee it's not going down.
No, I know it ain't, but I'm saying where we're headed for the next year.
What shocked me was when you said too, like we found out like we're cheaper than Wakulla. In some districts that are bigger than us.
We were the only ones that had single digit increases. Wakulla had double digit.
Well, if you
And
look
Marco,
at it
you just
too.
what?
CHP, yeah.
They do.
And then we've had teachers come to Wakulla and they see our interest.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's a lot cheaper than what we pay Wakulla.
Yeah.
We're contributing.
We're contributing more than just about every county.
So here's, this is my commitment. If they come in and they say, and they've come in and said 13%. Now, I'm packing up and I'm going, and I'm putting my,
We rebidding or?
Baking some cookies.
I'm baking some cookies, and I'm putting
Well, yeah.
on, taking a guitar, I'm gonna go over and do a song and dance, try to be, and that's work. That is work. As you come down,
It's still.
it's
Came
help.
down 4%, 1 year, 4.5,
Mhm.
4.3.
You helped a lot.
So my thing is, let's see what, again, we won't know till July, but I'm not, this is me, and this is me getting really deep in it. I'm not comfortable with the timeframes we're on and the lack of data to be able to say we're gonna do this. Our folks, nobody likes the increases. We're fighting that. But there's some other battles here I don't wanna have to fight, and that's changing doctors, changing deductibles, changing all that. Because I don't see any of those rates changing even if we did.
So with the PAC insurance, so we have the data and know the rates and everything there. It's the data from fleet and those going live on there.
Correct.
Seeing that. So,
And it just got, and again, it's just such a new thing,
Hey.
but it does increase our group.
It does
We
increase our
jump in
group.
with,
Yeah.
Well, if we
Wait.
can do you more than the state of Florida.
You find out these other counties are paying.
Yeah.
And you see would you let us know? And
Give me the first one.
ask them, they should, ask them if they got alternate contract sources.
So y'all understand what she's asking about that? So we do this already. I've not, we've done it for milk, some of the food service items, we piggyback with other
Y'all
counties.
expect-
It may be with 88 employees. Would the law allow, that was Jody's question to me, would the law allow us to possibly join with another county and be a part of their group if they got a good rate or something like that? But I don't know the answer.
And when you do this, I will say, and the state does it a lot. When you piggyback, and our lawyer's probably sitting there, she's on the phone cringing when I say that word, because lawyers cringe when they hear piggyback. They don't like it for some reason. But anyway, when you piggyback off of a contract, what one of the good sides of that is you don't get that protest period. That meaning, and I know we've sat here and we've been really, really fortunate in Liberty County. We've not got any protests as far as I know. So, but that's not now. When the vendor says, yes, I'll agree to those terms and conditions, I'll give you those rates for that product or that service, you're done. You sign the contract, it's over. But again, it's supposed to be same scope, same size. So let's look, let's see. Like I said, I mean, if we can get a better rate than we're getting right now, and if even if CHP would play nice in the sandbox, I'll catch them some fish.
Well, look, look, we can, I'll be honest with you, I commit these things to prayer, Lord, soften hearts. I got a meeting, when I have these meetings with these people, Lord, soften their heart. Let them see our plight. When I go to these committee meetings, you know, before the meeting started, I went to Don Gates, former Senate president. I sent y'all a picture on my minute. I went, hey, oh, you remember me? Yeah, and I fed y'all last year, you know, a couple years ago. Y'all remember that? Oh yeah, everyone of them remembered that. You know, fed y'all barbecue. It was funny because I told them, I said, I fed y'all barbecue 2 years ago. Y'all remember that? Oh yeah, we remember that. Made a connection. Now they started having, Bob Harris said they had not made these arguments. I had people saying, we got to help these small counties. It didn't pass. I mean, what I'm saying, it passed against us, but at least we start some conversation with that. Daryl got up there and says, well, I can't feed you barbecue, but I'll feed you cat. And then Thomas Rester says, well, I'll take you to Walsall and feed you possum. Nobody wanted possum. So anyway, you have a question?
Yes, so my thoughts on all this, and there are a lot, and I know I always say a lot, but this is kind of how I'm analyzing this or see this. My opinion is I would go full force ahead, pay the participation fee, and get our data. But I absolutely respect what you're saying, that we don't have the time, the staff, the capacity to hit this deadline. I'm 100% on board with it not being right now. But here's my thought behind this. I don't think we can go to Tallahassee Ford and get a price for a truck and say all F-150s like this cost this. You can't. I can get a Riverbend and I'm going to get a completely different price, right? I mean, that's just the business model. I can't expect Capital Health Plan to give me all their proprietary confidential information if the government's not telling them you have to do this. They're not going to, right? Because that's their business model and it protects them. So if I'm looking at this information, this 145% of the stop loss coverage escalated from 24 to 25, then renewal to 7.4%. Clearly, if we're at $1 million and you're 45% over, you didn't spend $450,000 more dollars, right? There wasn't a spend of that much more than they collected, and then they only charged us $70,000 more. They can't do that; they go under. And while they may very well be very kind and respectful to us because they realize their situation, business still is business. They're going to
make it all
100%. So I think there's some reflection here on what was, and we don't get a full picture of what was billed and what was paid. We don't get a full picture of what the pharmaceutical benefit savings were and the rebates they got. They're going to be in it to make dollars. They might have high admin fees. They might have low admin fees. I don't know. But looking at this would lead me to believe that they are making money. And that's okay. Businesses are going to make money to be businesses. That's fine, right? And I understand them not giving us a complete picture of information. I get it, right? But at the same time, I don't think that we should stop moving full steam ahead because we're going to lose momentum. And if they can get us data back for us, like it's good to have other people's information and data because there may be correlations in that data, but it's not our data. And for us to have our data, we can take that and we can say, hey, this is bogus. We can't use this. This isn't affordable. It's like Calhoun's, it's more expensive. Or we can say, hey, you know what? Our data is giving us a bargaining chip for 26 to say, hey, CXP, we're being offered through fleet a 10% reduction. You're saying you're a 20% increase or a 10% increase. CXP, we really don't want to transfer or change right now because we're not ready, but you might force us into doing something because we don't know if they might be a 10 or 20%. We have no idea. There's a lot in the economy right now. There's a lot going on. I think we're going to lose our bargaining power if we don't get data for us. And I think that we would lose that benefit at renewal with CXP. So my personal opinion, I think fleet is absolutely the way of the future for insurance. And I think if you have these 44,000 strong right now, and it turns into 70,000 by the time we actually are able to go, then what we can see is if we get data for 26, we can see, okay, fleet, now that you went from 44 to 70, what could that correlation look like for us in renewal? Did we save some? Like as far as what the quote was, the hard quote for this renewal from fleet? Did we save from fleet 26 to fleet 27? Right, because of that volume, and it gives us an idea of what we can anticipate in the future a little better because we already have numbers.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but right now, look at those counties. And this is what concerns me. There is no county the size of ours in this list None. The top 5 counties, Franklin, Liberty, Lafayette, what did I say? There was Blades. They're not even on here. So what I feel like, Gilchrist, yeah, what I feel like, and I do personally, I feel like we're like, oh, do we do that? Or, oh, do we do over here? Or don't do that, and don't lose CHP because this is the unknown. It's a little tricky to me. So, but right now, there's not even a county on this list. The district on this list is even our size. So when in a year, if we go on, let's just say we paid the $10,000. We just paid $10,000.
Yes,
To get what numbers?
the numbers.
Well, numbers, what it costs, what it costs.
The numbers for us. So here's the benefit. So like purchase agreements for the state of Florida, they negotiate contract prices for vehicles, right? While we might be a very, very rural 200 employee count, right, district, we're going to get the same pricing that's negotiated with the state of Florida, right? If we want to go buy something because we're under that group, it's the same benefit. If we're 44,000 strong, we're a part of that number.
We're do our individual bid though.
But we're still protected with
the districts are all together, right? So you're talking about with fleet, that all the districts are grouped together.
Right, but we're part of that pool to save in administration fees and pharmaceutical benefit management. I'm assuming we're gonna get discounts on pharmaceuticals back, so we're still gonna be realizing savings because we're a part of this team, right?
You get them to the table, is what I'm doing.
That's right.
I mean, you might have that 10% that we're talking about for pharmaceuticals, saving $1.3 million in it. But at the end of the game, we're not gonna say 200 employees. Well, we've got 101 here that are on the plan. That's all we're gonna add to this. It's actually entitled people that are on the plan, they'll be, what would be paid for it. 25. So,
Then when it goes down,
we're not gonna get the same rate as
No, Swanee, we're not.
Swanee
no.
or one of those. And we're gonna give them to the table. Hey, we're gonna add these in here. Now, we do have a lot more buying power because there's 44,000 here, which may grow to 90,000. You get both worlds. You get what you're saying, where you have a little more buying power, but we're not going to be getting where they
No.
because they don't even pay the same. Nobody pays what we pay to our portion of the board. Everybody else is less than.
So
it can still be cheaper. I understand what you're saying. You're saying we're going to have buying power. We are going to have buying power getting more the big four in there and everything. But
the stop loss,
is going to be lower.
We're going to have the stop loss savings because we're part of a 44,000.
I agree with you, but
Admin savings because of the 44,000 group. We're not going to be, from everything I understood, right, is we're not going to be looked at like, oh, you're 88. We're going to be looked at like you're a part of fleet. They're looking at fleet as a whole, right?
This is what I want to know.
And those components.
How many of these districts are live?
They're working towards it, but they're not. And then it'll take you
they
So,
spent their
A year.
10,000.
yeah, they spent their 10,000.
Yeah,
What I'm
that's
saying
scary.
is,
That's what I'm
This
saying. They're
is-
good for you.
I am not gonna be disrespectful. Okay?
Mhm.
Over 44,000 school district employees. I guess in all these, they added up and got 44,000 school district employees.
That are now participating in
Uh,
fleet. That was my understanding.
Just, do we know?
Well, that's what he said.
Because he says,
That's what he said.
okay.
That would have to
so
be in those three counties. then.
Swanee. Down Fleet. February 1. That's last month. Their go live date, May 1. Okay, and it's been talking about drinking from a fire hose. That poor woman said it's not raining. Okay. What I'm saying, and I think it's very new. It's that we gonna get I could see us going on fleet. I really do. I think buying power is a wonderful thing.
Correct.
But I don't even know what we're going, I still ain't clear on what we're gonna find out
You're not gonna get.
by giving them just $10,000.
I think what you're seeing is you're going to see, you give them $10,000, they pay that one-time fee. Okay, now we got all four up to the table, we're gonna bid all this out there. This is what it looks like. At the end of the day, that's what I was saying the other day. They have no idea what they're gonna pay. We have no idea what we're gonna pay, so I can't say something I don't have the end. If you pay that, it's gonna be probably 4 to 6 months of insurance is coming in. They're gonna say, okay, this is the bottom deal. And then fleet's gonna say, well, you know what? They parted. This is too much. We're gonna negotiate a little bit for you here. Take that off of your people because that's what the 10,000 part of it is. All right, 2 weeks later, here we got a reduction. Now, this is what you're gonna cost. Now, of course, then it'd be what would be our contribution to all that. And then we could say, Stacy, take your people this right here, because that's got to be done through the union and W collective party and all. What you're gonna get for that 10 grand is the most important piece. How much is it gonna cost?
Well,
Correct.
why can't we just go back out for bid again? We go out for bid on our own.
That's a great question. You can do another.
We don't have
IT
buying power.
You can do, no, I'm saying you can do an ITV. That's
We
what you,
can do our, another
Oh, I
one,
meant call.
negotiate.
did I say it right?
Yeah,
IPT.
it's
Yeah.
ITN.
Yes,
That would
yes,
be
yes.
interesting to see, do your own. versus
You
see
could
what-
reject them all, absolutely, that's a great point. Yes, you could absolutely advertise and say,
Mhm.
come hear you, we're inviting.
Do our own stuff and
You absolutely
You
could.
can compare and see if it's working.
You can call there on the, hey, we want to see your rate, give us your rates.
I would still 100% go forward with Fleet in acquiring that information. If we want to do like an invitation or receive like a quote, right, from other insurance carriers, like a United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna independently, as fully insured.
Okay, so hold that thought, because I forget. They didn't bid this last time.
No.
Just because you invite them, don't mean they will. And I'll tell you why they don't, because you're a small group.
And you don't have the
Fine.
supposed fully
Now,
thousand.
Just compare, not to ruffle anybody's feathers, not to think this will. When you have an agent of record, that person went out there and solicited and said, all right, so because that agent of record has a book of business, he has that group, so he may be representing 10,000 employees somewhere, and he would say, Mr. Hayes with Aetna, I need you to bid on my 88 here for Liberty County.
Isn't that what Fleet is, agent of record?
They're a broker.
They're basically a broker, but they don't make any money. We're not paying them any money off of the.
They're gonna make $10,000 off, and then 22, 25 per employee.
For administration.
Especially in nonprofit, Stacy.
Pay for.
They're nonprofit.
They are
They're not
nonprofit.
getting, yeah, they're nonprofit.
They're going to coordinate, if I understood it right, pharmaceutical benefits, right, and savings, stop loss insurance, bringing the carrier to the table. They're bringing in all the parties together collectively, saying, look at what we have. So it's kind of like Ford. You're like Ford again. If we went and said Ford, I want to buy one F-150. All right, here's your quote. Buy a whole, my bad. I want to buy 150 F-150s from you. They're going to look at that very, very differently, right? So it's like, I need to insure 88 people versus I need to insure 44,000. They're going to say, hold on now, this is very different, right? We're ready to negotiate differently with that number of people. So the worry that I have is if we or anyone else in those districts want to back off because they're kind of worried, you lose that power of that
negotiate
bargaining,
power.
that bargaining potential, right? You lose that bargaining potential. So I'm not necessarily saying, well, I'm not saying at all go forward with 26 because I absolutely respect what you're saying. We don't have the capacity right now at 26, but who knows? We might be shocked at the finding or discovery we have from Fleet compared to CHP when it comes. Maybe not, but we might be shocked. And at least we have information if it happened, right? We're not going to necessarily pursue it like 26. We're going to pursue it like 27. If everything fell into place right, and it's everything looks right, smells right, tastes right, is right, maybe it's something that happens. If it's not, I'm fine with it. I'm not saying push it, but I still think we need to know to be prepared to know what to anticipate. My big question, and I don't want to quote this wrong, And this is something to think about. Calhoun County, how much did they have in their cash? $3 million. $3 million is what Calhoun County has. So yeah, they might be a little different on these rates, but they could change that rate and flip it upside down and have the same percent savings and do it for 10 years with the cash that they have in their account. They could choose to
But
do
you have to
that.
be prepared for a bad year too.
Yeah.
And they did have, I think they did have 5 and 6.
But here's a bad year, you still can fund, if I understood.
You don't have a bad year.
You
That's
can fund it as a worst case scenario that year. So even if you have that bad year, you're funding it worst case scenario that bad year, you're not at a loss that bad year, that year. The next year, you would see that increase. So if we had to, the cost would increase on the district and the employee, or we would say, we're gonna try to absorb this for that amount of dollars that we have extra in that account. So you're not gonna be affected right there at that time. The effect is gonna come in the future, at which time you can account for that in the future. That's my understanding.
Can we wrap this up? Because I think, look here, it's 8:00, and I'm gonna tell you something. Here's where I think we at, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Let's bullet it.
I got a quick question, but go
I
ahead.
think the only thing you're talking about the difference now is if you're gonna.
Do we
You're gonna
sign the
pay-
participation
I
agreement?
look for 10 grand, go forward right now.
Let's change voting.
And I don't know if y'all can tell me this or not.
Huh?
I said,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have a bottom line question. Where's the 10,000 coming from? Because y'all's budget, every time I hear it, y'all are strapped, you're over budget, we're overspent. Where's the 10,000
It
coming
was an
from?
overpayment that we still have.
Huh?
An
So
overpayment we still have.
one pot of money, so,
I'm just curious, and that's a question that
we have,
has been asked.
so.
This is,
Well, 10,000.
I have-
Yeah, outside of 200 employees.
Huh?
That's, anyway, that's a different thing.
Okay,
Out of 500
It's
employees,
not
$10,000.
10,000.
okay, yes, for, we have 10,000, but it's not recurring dollars. It is setting in a pot. It's not gonna
Yes.
recur every year.
Okay,
So yes, there is
Okay.
$10,000 available.
okay.
Okay, so let's nail this down, okay? Number one, do we wanna go forward? Can we vote? We can't vote on this.
No, workshop.
I'm here to listen. He's here to listen.
We gotta decide whether we're going forward with a participation agreement. I think it sounds to me pretty, maybe I'm wrong, y'all tell me, that we can't start in October 2026.
The only thing,
Bingo or not bingo?
I don't think we can start at 26.
I will not ask y'all. to
But
do it.
the other thing, just I want to quick say off for you, we do, if it was, get 10,000. The information you get probably from them is gonna be for this year, not next year.
Right.
So you follow, if you get the information.
We
for
can
this year-
we can set our dates though.
Okay.
When we
I'm
want to
just-
start, can't we?
Yes, I'm saying if we started December 27th.
Yeah, okay.
Just remember, do the participation, get the information that we get in 6 months.
I think you could pay the $10,000 next year and still get the same information.
It ain't going that money.
That's what I'm saying, if you do it right now, you get this, the information early, you won't get much.
Interest on that money?
No, not in that.
Okay, no, okay. So let me go back.
Yeah, there won't be.
Participation agreement,
Correct, that's what I'm saying.
go ahead and get our renewal.
Start doing right this first one.
Sorry.
That's my fault.
Body's wearing out. I went to Jacksonville today. Okay, so number one, participation agreement. Do we want to sign it? Yes. Number two, start date. If we did sign it, I think I'm hearing unanimously it would be next year.
I'm good with starting next year, but I'd like the data to know this year and use as a bargaining chip CHP.
Do you think there's?
I don't think you're gonna have it.
Have any of that?
What we gonna
You just gonna have pricing now.
This year as you would next year,
So you want the you want a bid done
If they're
this year?
willing to quote us the data for 26, knowing that we're 98% going 27, then let's get that. Now, if they're like, hey, you ain't gonna
Those
use it,
rates that long
well,
though.
then we would have to get data again. I would like.
Is that another
data.
10,000?
No, it's just a one-time.
It's just one time for every.
Yeah,
These
that's-
days, have those rates to the CSP, so you can say, this is what we would get, can you not go up?
Yeah.
It will be a bid, that we're going to ask Fleet to approach, to go through their process and give us hard numbers of what it would look
What's
like.
a
if
bid? They said it the other night, that's a bid, they're gonna bid
For those
Liberty
that-
County.
They're gonna bid for those that are in.
What is the view of a bid? Like, what does that look like?
They're gonna give you the call.
So she made the point, they become a quasi broker, so they're gonna say, okay, I got X amount, whether it be 44,000, I think it's probably less than that. But I got 44,000, I need a quote from, y'all four carriers, Aetna, United Healthcare,
For these 100 employees.
right?
Right. So I mean, it's
Did
not
he say
gonna-
they do an
Yeah, they do an ITN.
They actually do a.
It's an ITN, they do an ITN, they negotiate.
Yeah.
We here are not gonna say, we need to bid this and receive it here. They're handling all that administrative function on their end.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to do that, and companies are willing to quote, knowing that we want to move in that direction, but we need to see now what it looks like. If they're willing to give that
They're
to
not
us,
gonna do, no, Mason. When you do an ITN, you're gonna come in here and you're gonna have a start date. Okay, let's just say it's gonna be January
we'll ask them to give us
27th, or it's gonna be,
October
it's just
26th.
like bidding a boat. Okay, I want to quote, or let me get you a car. You bid a car, they're gonna hold that, mostly they're gonna hold that price for about 30 days. That's
It's
about as
be
long as you're gonna
received
get
for
it.
renewal October 26th. So time out, I literally just went through this exact scenario.
Yeah,
Literally, they give you a quote, right? Your numbers for renewal 10/1/26. So I think we should be forthcoming to tell them, we're probably not gonna renew, but we're asking in good faith for you to give us this data so we can make a good preparation. So when you give us numbers October 27th, we would be ready to act on those numbers. Because we don't, if we don't have any data from them, then we have no idea how to act, what to think.
I think if we were the only ones involved, that might be more plausible, but I think because it involves other people and them trying to wrap up a specific number of how many it's gonna be. Actually, if whoever wins, that's how many we're buying.
Well, but there's no guarantee that we're gonna use it, so it's still just a quote. They're gonna
I
quote it,
don't-
but there's no guarantee.
I didn't understand now, I'll be glad to ask. I don't think we just
Yeah,
put our
after,
name in the hat and see if they'll give us a quote per se as part of this group that you're quoting for now, and then be able to pull out.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't,
but we need to ask that.
All right, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, like.
Be glad to, be glad to.
But I don't wanna commit us to have to do anything.
well,
Like,
Why
if we don't
else?
have Data, then we don't know if this is
So it
something
is,
we would even.
on a participation agreement, correct?
It is called participation.
Why else would
But
we,
it's a fleet participation agreement,
Yeah.
it is not a,
Hey,
it's not an
financial
agreement to
participant.
enter a contract.
Right.
why would we pay the $10,000 now? And I specifically asked him, can we go ahead and pay the $10,000 and not go online until 27, still get our numbers? So why would we pay $10,000 now if we can't get numbers now? I mean,
Correct. If
why
we
wouldn't
don't
we
get
wait till 27?
26s, why would we?
And why wouldn't he have said, well, yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
so
I don't know that I made it.
we might need to ask them that question.
And if they're willing,
Can we get those numbers?
Miss Page,
okay,
You're getting the preference.
no.
She had her hand up. She had her hand up.
Okay, here's my thing. Let me go back to a timeline. Because you got a CHP renewal, we're gonna know in July of 2026 what our increase is gonna be. Okay, if we could have a timeline, somebody could draw us out a timeline and say, all right, you got a CH, because we're gonna, even when I talked to this lady, she said, y'all need to keep doing what you're doing right now. And then start that process, because what's gonna happen when we sign this participation agreement, there's a lot of things that's gotta be done. They've got to get some data. They gotta get some, which I don't even know if CHP is gonna provide the data. They might not. They may cancel our contract. I don't know. But we gotta get that data. All this information's gotta be pulled over into their system. And she said it's pretty, no sweat and tears there, what she said. So all that's gotta be done. Then we've got to bid it out. If we've got some preliminary information, it'd be great, but they've got to do a bid. They said it. You know, and because I remember, I said, wait a minute, what about protests, what about, okay, so that's gotta be done. Then we've got a 90-day, so what I'm saying is this. If we sign the participation agreement, I think I'm looking for a timeline to say, this gotta be done, this gotta be done, this gotta be done, and then we can go live in October 2027. Work up to that date. And then.
That's,
Yeah.
so that I 150% agree. I need more runway. I need, and let me tell you some of the other things we did this week. We got all the doctors that people are seeing in our group with CHP where they were able to provide that. We got that to Ted to see that we'll cover all them doctors, we'll, healthcare, all that kind of stuff. Because if they don't, and our staff goes, wait a minute, time out. I'll pay more. I think those are part of the things that we need to know. And I just need more. Look, again, if you go back to my time frame from last year, I'm starting in July 25 to try to have it October 26 if we were to do it. That was how much runway. That's 12, 15, 16 months.
So here's what I'm saying. Have Katie or somebody sit down, start a timeline from October 2027. Don't look at that. Put the October 2027 date here, and then back up, and then that's going to tell you. I want to make it by 2027.
That's what I'm asking for.
Yes.
I need that runway.
Yes,
and we'd be glad to do that. But I think two things. I need more information.
Yes.
And we got to be very diligent. This is huge. I like the fleet idea. I love it. I do think it's going to be a good possibility for us because of the higher premiums that keep going up. If there's a way for us to,
we're still going to get increases though. Then
you're still going to have increases.
We're still going to get increases.
Well, insurance is going to be what insurance costs.
Right. That's not going to stop.
But at the end,
just low.
You might not.
But what and again, that's a great point. We don't know what it's going to be. They could come in and all of a sudden it's higher than what we're paying now. We don't know.
Well, and we
don't know that now.
We could get yearly increases like we're doing right now too. For even when we inflate, insurance goes up.
It's going to
go
go
up.
Yeah.
It don't matter. Look how much they go up.
It ain't going down.
It ain't going down.
What I'm trying to do is stop some bleeding.
Yeah.
Because
But I need you to tell us.
If I tell her
when
at the
we
end,
need to sign
this year insurance went up 1%, that's a much easier to swallow than 14%, 12%.
Yeah.
Because at a 1% increase, Ford Mac can handle every bit of that. They cost her nothing. But it's gonna go up. It's gonna go up.
I think the idea of the whole self-insured is the concerning part, because it's like, what does that mean?
I mean, it's on us.
Yeah,
That's a big word.
yeah,
Save everybody looks. That's
Yeah.
I mean,
But the fleet is a little bit different than PACE, where it may only be 3 districts, where if everybody gets them fleet, it may be 13 districts.
They're growing it
Yeah.
to buying power. Well, they're
Yeah.
talking buying power. A lot more
So
employees.
there's more protection.
Consortiums is what I call them. They are.
Mhm.
It really is.
They call
A consortium is the word for it.
It is. They call it
it's like an
groups,
insurance.
but it's a consortium, and they do work.
Yeah.
When I was with DOH, we had huge consortiums. They work. There's more buying power. I'm telling you, it works.
Well, the teachers aren't against it by any means,
Yeah.
as long as they know they are protected. And, they're getting the best possible choice.
Yeah, and their providers.
Providers are huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The survey is very
It
clear.
is
We
not
like
right.
our doctors with CHP. So again, that's another question I don't have an answer to.
Yeah.
If you was to tell me, if Ted was to say, look, I vetted these, here's your CHP doctors, because he got the ones that we're using. So here's the ones that Liberty County schools are using, and only a third of them can be used with Aetna. That's a problem.
And we're little, I said this in the meeting, we're a little different of an animal. And I'll tell you this.
We are.
Because you go to Swanee, now I don't know about Swanee River split and whatever, but that Apalachicola River splits a lot, not
It
just
does.
mine.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
You go to Panama City for these doctors and they take Blue Cross Blue Shield, don't take CHP.
They won't even.
Tallahassee's the same way, ain't touching Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I have Blue Cross, I swapped, I told y'all. I went from the wonderful CHP with the state to the Blue Cross and Blue Shield, which I'm very thankful to have with Andy, you know, who he works with. But it's a big difference.
You're taking all your doctors.
Yeah, I changed my doctors, which I don't have that many specialist doctors, but yes. Thank goodness my skipper took Blue Cross and Blue Shield, because if he didn't, I would have been on the line.
That would be your.
Well, I went from the state CHP to this CHP. There's a substantial difference. Substantial. You
So,
got 88,000 people with the state,
Mhm.
you know, they're paying, but I can see us going to this. I mean, there's no doubt. I see us going to it. Not this year, but I see us going there. I see us going there. Yeah, because insurance is going to get to where you've already said you got people that's not taking insurance. They can't pay for. I'm saying I'm one of them that paid for a long time for family coach. I was one of those four people. And it's tough.
Mhm.
We
You
got,
don't
we got
really need to be worried just for
We got-
insurance. If you could save employees just
Mhm.
a little bit. I know I talked with one of the guys, and one thing they tried to solve, he was in a district up there, and he told me this, it's in another state. He said, due to insurance costs and things going up, the last 8 years that he was there, he said, we didn't give our teachers a raise. They had a big union, you know, 9,000 teachers in their district. We didn't give the teachers a raise. Everything that went into it went to insurance.
Mhm.
We tried to keep them 85% whole on their insurance. That's a lot. This is the whole Western Michigan, Minnesota. But I don't want to get to that point. I want to be able to have some options. Even, you know, there's an option to have two districts. I don't know. There's a question you could you have CSP over here? Could you get a fleet too? I don't know. If you piggyback off somebody, how are we going to pay? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
I don't think it's feasible to get it done this year.
If Katie would within a minimal amount of time, could pull reports from CHP and send it to Fleet and have them run some numbers, right? There's a lot to figure out. Like, do we have to
What kind of numbers?
Huh?
What numbers of?
Like,
Lisa, would you know any of that
what's the
kind of
cost?
numbers
Like,
you
where's the
propose for
cost gonna be?
CHP?
If this is our plan design now, where would the cost be for employee, family, child, so forth? and spouse?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I'm talking about.
So what would the price point be? What are we looking at on price? Because you're right, then it gets more difficult when you're like, okay, well, where's your network? Do we want to go with Fort Blue? Do we want to go with United Healthcare? Do we want to go with Aetna? Do we want, I have my preference from research I've done, who I think we should only consider going with and not the others. We don't know exactly what carrier network is going to be offered, right? So if we can get a high level view now to stew on, then it takes a lot of time saying, okay, we need to adjust the plan design or the disruption report and making sure people are covered and who has best coverage. United Healthcare, Fort Blue, changing from speed to speed. That takes a lot of time, and I will 100% say we need to prolong even considering that. But if it could be 2 hours, us pull data, send this document, say, here's your 10,000, please run us some numbers and tell us just what would it look like for us on a 1026 renewal. Just tell us what it looked like. Because if it's off, then we don't even need to entertain it going forward. We don't need to pull all these other reports. We don't need to look at all this data. Just give us a rough number. I have no desire to be a 10-1-26 renewal. None. Because I don't think anybody's got the capacity. But I think it will be an injustice for us in preparation for the future, not getting what we can right now. That's just my.
So here's where I think, and I know we're trying to wrap this up. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Where I think you can avoid paying the 10 up front. Find out what the savings were for some other districts, what they had and what they went to.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's different. It's river.
We gotta
it's
give it a
kinda
year.
like C4
Yeah, but-
versus river.
but
It's not going to be.
well,
It's not gonna
yeah,
be-
but if you got 10 districts, if you got 10 districts to sign up and go, all of ours went up, this was awful, then I just saved myself $10,000. You know what I'm
And
saying?
that's at the very worst what you're gonna get. That's the very worst thing that could happen. I
What?
mean, you think, hey, Say 10,000.
I'm just saying, if we get,
First, let me get out.
if you go
That's
to,
exactly right.
if you go to those counties and they say, this was the worst thing we ever did, we're not gonna do this anymore, we'll pull them out, blah, blah, whatever. If they say that from their experience, then I don't need to pay 10 to know that, is what I'm saying. You could delay that 10
Yeah.
to start getting some data, and then you start saying, well, how good did y'all do? I mean, it'd be just like any of us, you know, we're all talking about roofs, and Renee and Doobie and Boo says, well, I got Jerkins to do my roof, and they saved me a lot of money. Y'all say, well, we got the same roof that they got, but so-and-so did this. I'll make up a name, whoever done that cost more, and wind up thinking it's the same thing, but I'm gonna go with who they said. I'm just saying, I think there's a way to figure out the legitimacy of this really well.
Time's up 2022.
Yeah.
I've been on a limb that my buyers.
I Okay, so let's do this. How about y'all do like you always do, individually talk to me. Let's go from there, share me your heart, send me an email. That's all good. We'll just go from there.
I'd like to see your runway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you could just back it up from just, and you might have to do two. You might say 10,
Well, my
27.
runway,
And
if we, let's just say if we'd have started this process and done, there was a lot of variables that would have to, all these other questions you'd had to answer, and everybody feel good about. Everybody feel good about that would have been 16 months. From start to finish, 16 months. We're there now. I mean, what I'm saying is if we start this now for October 27, you back it up, you're right around that 15, 16 month mark now.
So that means sign the participation agreement now.
No, not necessarily.
No, wait, get from them.
I'm saying, if you're making me do a knee-jerk response to that, I'd say hold off on the 10. Let's see what these others do.
We got the 10 out, start getting interest on it.
Do whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Answer yes.
Citizens not getting their money off it. Am I crazy?
Workshop.
Y'all think I'm crazy?
I know you can.
Not anything.
No.
I agree with Ann.
Hey,
Is this something? Yes, we did.
okay.
Motion adjourned.
Need a motion.
Second.
Third.
Not for this next year.
Second.
What I'm saying,
Wait, now adjourn.
Where you leave?